I'm immigration attorney Kaylani Hawks Villafranca. Today, we're going to talk about how you, as a DACA recipient married to a U.S. citizen or resident, can get your green card within the United States without having to leave the country. If you're now married to a U.S. citizen or resident, you're probably really excited about the possibility that you can get your green card after such a long time of being undocumented and then having DACA. And because obviously we know the green card is a much more stable and much more secure status for you. And then as you have a green card and you become a US citizen after that, you can petition for your family members, which is really exciting. But for many DACA recipients married to US citizens or residents, they're worried about having to leave the United States to process their green card. And that's because normally, if the last time you entered the United States, you entered without permission, that means that when you ask for your green card as the spouse of a US citizen or resident, you're going to have to go to your home country. For many of you, that's Mexico. So Ciudad Juarez, you'll have to go to Ciudad Juarez to process your green card. Nobody wants to do that. It's really scary to leave the country and not know if you're going to get back in. It can take a very, very long time to get an appointment in Ciudad Juarez. And so, of course, if you can avoid that, that's better. So today we're going to talk about a way that you are able to fix your last entry so that your last entry is actually with permission instead of without permission. And once you do this, then you can apply for your green card from within the United States. And that's a much better position. As a side note, if you're a DACA recipient and you last entered the country with permission, so say your family entered with a visitor visa in 1998, your whole family overstayed, you've had DACA for a long time, and now you're married, that is a case where you definitely can go straight forward and apply for your green card from within the United States. I do this for my clients all the time. You should definitely move forward with that kind of case and get a better status for yourself, and give us a call and we can help. But the video today is dedicated specifically at those of you who last entered without a visa, without any sort of permission. If that's you, then I want you to listen closely because I've been able to have success for several of my clients in this way. If you are a DACA recipient right now, you have the ability to ask for something called advance parole. It means that the government gives you permission and re-enter after having left for a very specific purpose. If you have DACA, there are three ways that you can get advance parole. You can get advance parole to study in another country and then come back after you've studied. You can get advance parole for a reason related to your work. If you currently work for Google, let's say, and Google needs to send you to their office in Tokyo, you could ask for an advance parole to go to that meeting and then come back into your job at Google. And the last way, which is the one that I use most often with my clients, is for humanitarian reasons. And what that usually means is that you have a sick relative who's abroad who you need to visit. It is that advance parole was an option for DACA recipients in the past. Under the Trump administration, it was stopped and was no longer possible. It's been restarted again, and not only does it exist, but these advance parole applications are being granted favorably very often, meaning that there are some types of immigration applications that are very strict, very hard to get approved. And those things change over time. So in the past, it was harder to get an advance parole application approved for DACA recipients, but now it's not. We've seen that if you can make a good faith argument and prove that there is someone who you need to visit or some work trip you need to go on, your case will probably be approved. And that's extremely important because what that means is if you can get advance parole granted for your advance parole approved reason, so you're studying or working or visiting a sick relative, and then you come back to the country and you present your advance parole document together with your DACA card and your home country passport, and those three things get you back into the United States. With the problem for your marriage green card, because now you've entered the country with permission. That advance parole entry counts as an admission that you can then use to file your green card application through marriage within the United States, and you don't have to go to Juarez or your home country if it's not Mexico. You don't have to leave the country to process your green card. And this is huge because you really eliminate an enormous amount of the risk associated with leaving the country. If you can leave the country not during your green card processing, but instead during your DACA advanced parole process. It's really exciting and can really help you. So let's talk about what these cases look like. An advanced parole case typically takes about 6 months to get approved. So don't wait to start it now. While your advanced parole case is pending, you need to renew any underlying DACA status that is about to expire. You want to keep your DACA status active until you have your marriage green card. And so while your advanced parole case is pending, and then while your future marriage case, green card case is pending. And that'll be really important to make sure you maintain that stability in your status, your ability to work, and while we go through this process together. So the steps would look like this. You currently have DACA. You keep your DACA active the whole time. You apply for advanced parole, and you show proof of your eligibility. So if you're applying based on needing to visit a sick relative, for example, which is what most of my clients do, they have grandparents or family members in Mexico who are elderly or ill and they need to visit them. We prove the family relationship through birth certificates and marriage certificates, whatever we need to show that family relationship. And then we prove the health condition of the person who's ill. So it's medical records, letters from people in Mexico who were taking care of them, and then a letter from you as the applicant. I always have my clients write a letter explaining, this is my grandmother. I spent 3 to 4 years living with her when I was little. My parents left to the US before I came to the US. And my grandma was like a mother figure to me. I haven't seen her in 20 years. And she's getting older. I need to see her before she passes away. It's really important to me. And just explaining personally what this means to you, because that makes a big difference. And so we submit that together and we wait. As long as the situation is not urgent, it's important but not urgent, you submit it in the mail and you wait. And it usually takes about 4 to 6 months to get approved. There is a way to request an emergency advanced parole. These are adjudicated not in the central immigration office like the other advanced parole. These are adjudicated in your local field office. So the way San Antonio will see your request is different than the way Miami will see your request, is different than the way Chicago will see your request. So depends on where you live if they accept these emergency advanced paroles. But if, say, you have a mother in Mexico and she's critically ill and the doctor is telling you, you need to get here now to visit your mom, then you should consider an emergency request, which is possible to be granted, but you probably need somebody who lives in your area and knows exactly how your field office works to handle that request for you. Otherwise, you can use an attorney from anywhere because immigration law is federal and we can all help clients all over the country. I'm based in Austin, so I work a lot with the field offices in Texas, but I help my clients all over the country with anything that's not urgent for their local field office. So you will submit your DACA application for advanced parole. You'll wait, and then you'll get an approval, hopefully. Once you have an approval, it'll come with a piece of paper, which is the actual parole document. It'll have a date on it and a period of time, usually say like a week or 2 weeks or whatever you've requested, and it'll have a date by which you have to use that parole. And so you'll leave, you'll visit your family, and you'll come back in. Your parole document will be stamped by the official, and then that's your green light to file your marriage green card case, because now your DACA advanced parole stamp proving you have lawful entry into the country allows you to proceed with your marriage green card case within the United States. And that is huge. So what does that look like? Well, when we do a marriage green card case, we have to prove 2 parts. The first part is we prove your legitimate relationship. We do that through documents showing your love and the history of your relationship together. I've done plenty of other videos on that. If you guys are interested in learning more, check those out to hear about the kinds of documents we use and how we tell your love story in a way that meets the legal requirements. The second part is that we prove your eligibility for the green card. This is where your DACA advanced parole really comes into play. That's because your DACA advanced parole proves that you last entered lawfully, and that's a critical part of getting your green card in the United States. We also prove anything else about your background, like any lack of criminal history, no deportations, no concerning issues with failure to pay your taxes. There are a lot of things that could make you ineligible for a green card, and we go through those and make sure that nope, none of those apply to you, you're good. Your spouse becomes your financial sponsor on this application. That means that your spouse has to prove that he or she has the financial ability to support you as their immigrant spouse. Also, check out those other videos for a lot more detail on that. We're not going to get into that today. After you've entered with your DACA advanced parole, You file your proof of relationship and your proof of green card eligibility, and you wait. You wait till you get an interview. The next step is going with your spouse to an interview at your local field office. Now, I mentioned before, for an urgent DACA matter at your field office, you probably want a local attorney. For this, you can use anybody. Well, anybody good. Find a good attorney. Don't just hire anybody. But you can use anyone in any part of the country who you trust to do a good case for you. And that's because attorneys can appear at the interview with you telephonically. That means I can represent my clients in any field office in the United States, which is wonderful. It really gives my clients a lot of flexibility to hire me if they need to, regardless of where they are or if they're moving, it doesn't matter. So you wait for an interview notice. Then your attorney will prep you for your interview. Make sure you understand how to answer questions about your relationship and your own personal background. And then you go to the interview with your spouse. They will ask you questions about your relationship, about your own immigration history. They may ask you about that advance parole entry, and they'll want to see that document. It's a really critical part of the case. And hopefully after you leave there, you'll find out very shortly that your case has been approved. If it's approved, you'll get your green card about a week or two later, which is super exciting. At this point, you have probably been married to your spouse for at least 2 years. Maybe not, but probably if you got married and then you did the advance parole process and then you did the marriage process, you may be at a point where your marriage is at least 2 years old. That's good. That's what you want, because if your marriage is at least 2 years old, you get a full 10-year green card. And after 3 years of marriage to your spouse, you can apply to be a citizen. 2 years old, you'll get what's called a conditional green card, where you and your spouse will have to go back and remove those conditions after 2 years for you to get a full 10-year green card. Even in that case, you can still apply for citizenship after 3 years of conditional or non-conditional residence. That's a marriage fraud tactic that immigration uses for newer marriage, because there's a lot of marriage fraud and green card marriage fraud in immigration. And so for newer marriages, you get restrictions on your green card that are just for 2 years. So you prove the marriage is legitimate another 2 years later. Okay. The goal today, what I want you to take away from this video is that if you have DACA and you last entered the country without permission, there is definitely a possibility of you getting your green card within the United States through the use of the advance parole process. You don't want to do this on your own. Please work with an attorney, because I never want you to leave the country at all without somebody having really fully analyzed your case and your background to make sure you won't have problems getting back in. Advance parole is permission to ask to re-enter, but if the border official sees that you have a felony record or you've been deported multiple times, they're not going to let you back in. So this is not for everyone. It is for most people. If you have a clean background criminally and immigration-wise, it's probably going to be fine. But you want to check with an attorney before you leave the country. But if you're a good candidate for advance parole, then this is a really powerful tool that you can use to be able to adjust your status and get your green card through marriage in the United States. I hope this has been helpful. If you'd like more information, give me a call. My number is here below, 512-675-2945. Or you can check out our website that's listed down here as well. Send us a contact info. We check those out every day. I'd love to consult with you and see if I can help you in your case. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.